Hey South Hills, today I have our Corona campus pastor, Pastor Adam. I want him to share a story with you guys. One of the impactful things about South Hills is that we're not just a church for adults, we're a church for kids, we're a church for students. And one of the things that we've noticed is that our ministries are doing such a great job impacting families that one of the students from the Corona campus actually had a moment where she ministered to her family, and because of her sharing the story of South Hills.
You know, sometimes when we think about one person's life being touched, it's never really just that person, because everybody's life always has a ripple effect. And I'm thinking of one specific incident where this girl hears about it. She's getting invited multiple times by this friend of hers, and finally she decides to check it out. She's convinced she's going to hate it. She ends up loving it and goes home, tells her parents. They can't believe that she's found a church thing that she actually likes. They're starting to get to the place where like, we're here every Wednesday night. What are we going to do? We're just sitting in the parking lot. And so they decide that they're going to jump in and try out the parents group. They end up loving it. They make a bunch of friends. And after several Wednesdays, they're like, well, maybe we should check out this place on a Sunday. They bring their younger kids. Those kids love the kids ministry. And people are noticing like, hey, how come you're never available on the weekends anymore? Their friends start asking what they're doing. And now the parents are inviting other families and other friends in. And, you know, now there's always a row, and that row keeps getting bigger. And now it's expanded to 2 and 3 rows. And I'm like, are all these people from you guys? And I told them if they keep at it, we're just going to give them their own service. But again, you never really realize the power of, you know, one brave girl decides that she's going to invite someone. And good thing she did, because it's transforming the lives of multiple families.
Well, shout out to our South Hills Students Ministry. Because of what we're doing with South Hills students, there's people in there wanting to share what God is doing in their life, and other people now are getting to benefit from the rest of the ministries that South Hills has to offer. We just never know what the power of an invite's going to have and the ripple effect of how it's going to change lives. Mm-hmm.
We are in our second week of our series called The Revolutionary. And I want to start off by asking a question. Ever found yourself really adamant about something only to realize later that you were absolutely wrong? I was in that position when I was like 9 years old. I'm going to share a story with you that I'm not too proud of. But please don't laugh at me and don't make fun of me. Don't judge me because then I will have to pray for you. And this happened when I was a kid, quite frankly. Like I said, it's embarrassing. As a kid, I remember how me and my dad would always go to the store. We would go to eat. We would go to the junkyard. We would go to a lot of places. And every time we would go, I would get on his car. He always would put on his favorite music, his favorite radio station. And I would be listening to all his music. I would be listening to all kinds of types of music and the artists. And once, it was like on a Sunday evening, we went to the store and it kind of hit me. I'm all like, wait, how do these radio stations invite all these bands to play the music their listeners want to hear? Like, how do they do it? Do they do magic? Are all the bands lined up ready to play the listeners' favorite songs? What is going on here? And it took me like 2-3 days. I couldn't sleep. I don't know what was going on. And if you listen to music, you know, or a radio station, you know there's a segment when the hosts are like, yeah, next segment, please call in and call in if you want to listen to your favorite song. And I'm all like, yeah, that's true. I should call in. I never did. And all these callers will call in and say, put this song for me, put this song for me. And the radio station, they would like play the song. But in my mind, I was like, wait a minute, how do they get all these bands to play all these songs? Do they hire the bands? Do they have like 20 bands ready and lined up so they can play the listeners' favorite songs? What is going on? And I was adamant that they hired these bands and they had them lined up and they told them play those songs. so my listeners could listen. It wasn't until like a few years later that I realized I was absolutely wrong. I was so wrong. I didn't realize, and the truth was that these radio stations, if you told them to play a song, they would put a tape. They would put a CD. They would put tracks. That's how they got all the bands there, via tracks. And I'm like, what's going on? How did I fall into this lie? I was mistakenly wrong because I didn't know the truth. And perhaps you've had this kind of moments in your life, whether it's a personal moment, or maybe it was something relating to sports, or maybe it was a way of doing life, or maybe it was something regarding your faith, where we were certain we were right, to later discover we were wrong. We were mistaken. We thought we had truth. And maybe for some of us here, we don't want to admit it, that we were wrong because it wasn't that big of a deal, right? But for others, we're like, yeah, I can't afford to be wrong. Absolutely not. I'm in too deep with this. I've talked about it. I've posted about it. I've convinced a lot of people to come to my side because I am right. So no, I cannot be wrong. And you know what ends up happening? Is that we double down, right, on our mistake, and we say, I don't want to be right, so I'm not going to go see that study or listen to that study. I'm not going to read that Bible verse. I've already made up my mind. I don't need more information to change my decision because I cannot be wrong. And sometimes we can't be wrong because it might be just too uncomfortable, too embarrassing, and too costly to change. See, a lot of us want the truth. How many want the truth? When people talk to you, you want to be spoken with what? The truth. But do we really know what's true? We've heard, hey, just live your truth. We've heard that. Just live your truth. You live how you think you're right. But is there such a thing as the truth? If you want to know the truth, how do you find out? Who is or what's the source of truth? And are they trustworthy? Isn't this a struggle of our age? Finding trustworthy sources, people. You know why? Because some people, they lie. Some people are mistaken. Other people have specific agendas and have a skewed view of life. So we ask ourselves, who can we trust? Do you ever wish God would just come down and explain what's true to us? And then we could just apply that to our life. Anybody wish that God would do that? Say, God, what is true? Just come and tell me. And like that, I'll just live in your truth and that's it. Well, we actually have that. And that's who Jesus is. In Colossians 1, 15, 16, it says this: the Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created. For in Jesus all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. All things have been created through him and for him. Paul is describing who Jesus is. He is the creator of all things. And it includes everything that's inimaginable, the heaven, the earth, everything that's visible and invisible. And you know what else? He created the animals. Oh, guess what? You know what else? He created all living human beings. You and I were created by Jesus. See, Jesus knows us. He made us. He's the manufacturer, which makes Jesus the source of all truth. So if you want to know what is true, look to Jesus. If you want to know what to do with truth, look to Jesus. See, Jesus is the source of truth. If you want to know what to do with certain information you have received or you are hearing, if you want to know what to do with a certain pattern of life you are living, look to Jesus. Every single matter about your life, your job, your family, your habits, your weaknesses, Jesus is the truth for it. This is why, I'll say it again, this is why Jesus was so revolutionary. In fact, so much that this is what actually aggravated the people about Jesus. See, Jesus disagreed with the people's truth, their way of living, their perspectives, their preferences, and that got him in trouble. That's why they wanted to get rid of him. I want you to watch this encounter with Jesus and Pilate, a governor at the time of Jesus. John 18, 33, 34, it says this: Pilate, that went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Verse 34, "Is that your own idea?" Jesus asked. "Or did others talk to you about me?" See, this guy asked Jesus a question. And Jesus, instead of answering it, he asks another question. He flips it. Says, Pilate, excuse me, Pilate, I know you want to know if I am the king of the Jews, but why do you want to know if I'm the king of the Jews? Are you wanting to know because you are being asked, who am I? Or are you wanting to know because you want to know the truth? Because you want to know who I am. And watch what happens next. John 18, 35, 38. Am I a Jew? Pilate replied. Jesus, your own people and chief priests handed you over to me. What is it that you have done? Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place. You are a king then, said Pilate. Jesus answered, you say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of the truth listens to me. Watch what Pilate says. What is truth? Everybody say it with me. But I want you to say it how Pilate says it. He says it like this. Let me show you. Oh God, what is truth? There you go. You got it. That's what Pilate, he's, what is truth? Get out of here, Jesus. Retorted Pilate. With this, he went out again to the Jews, gathered there, and said, I find no basis for a charge against him. Pilate does what a lot of us do. He avoids Jesus' questions altogether. See, Pilate doesn't want to go deep. He doesn't want to examine himself. He doesn't really care what's true. He just wants to gather enough information to justify, to wash his hands of the whole situation. Just imagine him shrugging his shoulders. What is truth, Jesus? I don't care if you're truth or not. I'm going to just live my own life. Notice, Pilate is standing in front of the truth. And he just ignores it. He doesn't want to know more. He disregards Jesus. And I think sometimes you and I have a little bit of Pilate in us, where we don't care for the actual truth. We don't want to go deep and examine our life, where we just shrug our shoulders and we're like, who cares? As long as I am living my own truth, my own life, as long as I'm not bugging anyone, I am fine. In this story, Jesus doesn't answer to Pilate. But I want to see a verse where Jesus does actually respond to a question he's asked. John 14:6, it says, Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So Thomas, a disciple of Jesus, he's asking a reasonable question. Jesus, where are you going? I don't know where you're going. Can you tell us the way? Because I don't want to get lost. How do I find our way? And notice how Jesus responded to his disciple. Jesus didn't say, hey, just live your truth. live your own principles, and you'll be fine. Jesus didn't say that. Jesus told his disciple, hey, you won't get lost, and if you do, look at me, because I am the way, the truth, and the life. And I think Jesus this morning is reaffirming that for you and I. Because when we feel lost, when we feel overwhelmed, when we arrive to a moment where we don't know what to do, when we're confused about life, Jesus tells his disciples and he tells us something very dramatic and amazing about himself. He says, don't worry when you're in this situation. Look at me. I am the way, so you don't get lost. I am the truth, so you don't live on your own opinion or somebody else's opinion. And I am life. You want life? You seek me. But sometimes we want truth to be a set of laws. We want truth to be a set of rules, a set of principles. You want to know why? Because you and I don't want to acknowledge that the truth is deeply connected to a person. Jesus insisted truth is found in a person, not a set of principles. In fact, he said it this way in John 8:31-32. I love this part. It says this. To the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, if you hold to my teachings, you're really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Anybody heard that verse before? In fact, raise your hand if you've heard this without even knowing it was in the Bible. That's right. It's in movies. It's in your text chats. It's everywhere. This is why Jesus came to impact our life, because whatever we do, it's in the Bible. He revolutionized it. And there's a verse here where it says, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. See, the Jesus, knowing the truth, the purpose of truth isn't to know the right information, isn't to know a lot of stuff. But the purpose of truth is so you and I could experience a personal transformation. When you know the truth, what happens? You will feel free. You will experience freedom. Jesus didn't say, if you hold on to your truth, to your beliefs, to your opinions. He said, when you know the truth will set you free. Ever had this aha moment? Raise your hand if you had an aha moment. Anybody know? Oh, you guys don't know what's that? Okay, I'll show you. So I've had an aha moment, right? It was with Krispy Kreme donuts. Have you been there when they're super warm and like so like delicate? And then you get a glass of milk and like, yes. No, anybody been to Krispy Kreme donuts? What? We got to bring Krispy Kreme donuts to you guys then. That's what we're going to do. You had an aha moment where you realized you've been wrong. And you said, wow, I didn't know I was mistakenly wrong. I didn't know I was doing that wrong. But now that I know the truth, now that I know that I was wrong, I cannot continue to live this way any longer. So I will do what I have to do to change. That's freedom. You had an aha moment. You're free from how you were living, and now you know what to do to change. Some of us have been there, right? We're living our own set of principles, our own way of thinking. We're missing the mark. And deep down inside, we're living this like empty life. But once you find truth, once you find this aha moment in Jesus, it all changes. You feel fulfilled. You have peace. You carry like less weight and less baggage. Your family changes. You experience freedom. You experience a transformation. This is why I want to share a story from a family that comes to our Spanish campus. The video is going to be subtitled for you in English. But they were living their own truth. They were living their own principles until they came and found the truth. Their life changed completely. Check out this video.
Mi nombre es Darcy, él es mi esposo Jesús. Tenemos 2 hijos, Christopher de 12 años y Mateo de 8 años. Tenemos 3 meses yendo a la iglesia.
Mateo, él nos invitó a la iglesia, él nos invitaba. Él tenía 1 año. Papi, ¿me acompañas a la iglesia? Y mami, ¿me acompañas a la iglesia? Y nosotros siempre le decíamos, mi hijo, para el otro domingo, mi hijo después. Y eso era cada domingo. Y, papi, acompáñame a la iglesia. Mami, ¿me acompañas a la iglesia? Y siempre, por una cosa u otra, nosotros le decíamos que no. Decíamos que para otro día. Y él siempre con esa emoción nos llegaba y nos decía, papi, está bien, les va a gustar, acompáñenme. Y estuvo como por 10 meses diciéndonos, papi, vamos, mami, vamos.
Les va a gustar.
Les va a gustar. Y hasta que un día decidí decir, ok, mijo, ahora te acompaño. Y mi niño me dijo, sí, papi, dice, va a haber tacos, vas a ver que también te va a gustar. Dijo, ok, vamos. De esa manera fue en la que nosotros decidimos ir. Como un niño invitó y nos dijo que fuéramos. Aparte de que a él le gustó mucho a él la iglesia, porque él siempre nos decía que se la pasaba muy bien, que se divertía mucho, que aprendía. Fue la fe que él tuvo para nosotros llegar a la iglesia. Él siempre tuvo, a pesar de su corta edad, yo vi en él siempre una fe muy grande que él tuvo. Desde el primer momento en que nosotros llegamos, desde que nos parqueamos hasta llegar a la entrada, fue algo sumamente impactante. Nos hicieron sentir como que si fuéramos parte de una familia sin conocernos, sin nunca habernos visto. Y solamente una vez que nos miraron, nos hicieron sentir parte de la familia y nos sentimos muy a gusto. Entramos a la prédica y fue una conexión muy grande en la prédica. Nos sentimos muy bien y yo, en medio de la prédica, yo volteé a ver a ella y le dije, wow, de lo que nos estábamos perdiendo.
Nosotros somos una familia de 4 personas, pero en realidad nomás convivíamos 3. Pero en cuanto llegamos a la iglesia, todo cambió. Ahora salimos los 4. En vez de salir 3, salimos los 4.
Pues gracias a Dios que nos dio la oportunidad de llegar a South Hill, a la familia de South Hill.
A estar ahí.
In talking to the family after they came to church and after recording this video, they said, you know what, I couldn't believe I was staying home. I couldn't believe I was living my way. I couldn't believe I was ignoring my kids' invitation. And when we got to church, everything changed. In his words, he told me, it's like something lifted off of me. I feel peace. I can live my life. It's like if I found what I needed. And the truth will set you free. He was free with his family. But you know what's important about truth? Is that truth requires humility. And this is where it gets difficult for us, because humility doesn't sit well with us. It's very hard for us to be humble, which is why we stay shackled, which is why we stay attached to our lies. This morning, before we end, I want to share something that has helped my life personally as a pastor, as just a human being. When I get stuck in life, when fear arrives, when doubt arrives, when I don't know what to do with certain information, when I have too much information, I ask God, what is going on? This is what I do. And I'm going to encourage you to take a picture of this or write this down. Ask yourself, is there something I want to believe that isn't supported by how Jesus lived? Is there something I want to believe that isn't supported by how Jesus lived? And this is me saying, God, I want to believe this, but does this support the way you think, the way you live? God, this is me saying, I'm just opening my heart. This is me saying, God, I'm not sure how to think about this. I'm not sure what to do about this, but can you show me your truth in all of this? This is me saying, God, what part of my life am I living in a mistake? What part of my life am I living wrong? What part of my life am I living that are my preferred things to do that go against your truth? Have you ever asked God that question? Maybe you haven't asked God that question, perhaps because you feel you're right. Maybe because you feel you can't be wrong or you can't be mistaken. And Jesus is saying this morning, I hope you're hearing me. Jesus is saying this morning to you, what if you're wrong? What if you're mistaken? Ever thought about that? See, because if Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, what if you discovered Jesus had a different view on how you handle money than you do? If he's right and if he's true, would you start budgeting different? What if you discovered Jesus had a different view on how you treated your kids than you? Would you start parenting different? Because he's right. What I say is just my opinion. And by the way, talking about parents and family and kids, don't miss October. We're in Family Month in October. We're going to talk about families, kids, husbands, everything, wives, so don't miss it. What if you discovered Jesus had a different view on how you invested your time? Would you schedule differently? What if you discovered Jesus had a different view on what your religious culture and family imposed on you? Would you be humble enough to seek truth in Jesus? What if you discovered Jesus has a different view and purpose in your life than the one you do? Would you start living differently? See, we have to admit this morning that you and Jesus see things differently. But what Jesus wants is for us to humble ourselves and say, you know what, Jesus, you're my creator. You're the source of truth. And I want freedom. You know why? Because the truth Jesus wants to give you access to is always first and foremost to change you before anything else. The truth Jesus wants to give you access to is to change your life. Not to change others, but to change you. So my question for you this morning is, what are you going to do with truth? What are you going to do with Jesus? Let's bow our heads and let's pray. Every head just bowed, every eyes closed. This way we respect the person beside you and back of you, in front of you. This is a moment with you and God. See, the truth is what God says about you in His Word, in Scripture. That's the truth. Jesus was so humble enough, but also said it with authority. And these words are so dramatic and it came to revolutionize himself and revolutionize the truth. He said, wait a minute, guys, it's not your life, it's not your preferences, guys. He said, I am the way. I am the truth. And it wasn't with an S, truths, as multiple. One truth. And I am life. Which means everybody else's, and everybody else, what they say and what you say, they're just opinions. And what God wants us to do is just be humble enough to say, yeah, what if I am wrong? What if I have been mistaken? And let me just tell you, if you are wrong, if you are mistaken, this is your opportunity to admit and say, yes, Jesus, I've been doing it my way and not your way. This is your moment to talk to God and say, God, come into my life. God, help me. God, change me. Because I've been living the way I've been wanting to live. I've been living my truth. I've been listening to people I'm not supposed to be listening to. God, I've been listening to the news way too much. And God is saying, hey, if you're going to listen to the news and everything that's negative they have to say, why don't you at least compare it to my word? Like that, you'll know what both are up to. You'll find that Jesus is the source of truth, that he is for you, that he loves you, that he wants to bless you, that he wants to bring hope to your life, that he wants to change your life. But it takes for us to humble ourselves. Father, I pray for this message. God, I pray for this truth. The truth that you gave your son, Jesus, to die for us. Because he's the way, he's the truth, he's the life. God, maybe we've been living our own ways. Maybe there is a better way to do life. Maybe there is a better way to budget. Maybe there is a better way to reach my goals. Maybe there is a better way to go deeper and experience your love. And that's by allowing you in, by listening to you. Father, I pray this morning that as you spoke, you just brought hope into our lives. You reaffirmed that we need you. You reaffirmed that we need to change. God, everybody here this morning, everybody that's online, I pray for a miracle. I pray that your truth sets in our life and it just causes a revolution of change, a revolution of growth, a revolution of matureness in our life. Thank you so much, Jesus.